Hi, Chem Peeps. This is part two of the mole defined, and we're going to talk about how we convert between the unit of a mole to grams or even atoms or even volume. This is a chart that I got when I was student teaching like 30 plus years ago from a colleague, and where it originated before that, I have no idea. But it's a good visual to help you understand the relationship of converting moles to other units. So here in the middle of the chart, we see that we're in the town of Moleville, and this acts very much like a road map. If my unit given to me is in the unit of moles, I'm starting here. I'm then going to be able to travel to other units on this map. So you can see at the top here, I could go to grams. Down in the bottom left corner, I can go to Atomberg, which has atoms, ions, molecules, formula units, and probably many more other types of labels that we could go to. And down in the right corner, we can go to liters of a gas if it's at STP. And STP stands for standard temperature and pressure, and that is measured at sea level. So how do we go between the different towns? Well, if I'm in Moleville and I want to go up to Grahamtown, you can see there is an up arrow that I'm going to follow, and it tells me to multiply by a relationship to convert the unit. It says to multiply by the molar mass, which in part one we talked about coming from the periodic table over 1 mole. And you can see if I'm in Grahamtown and I want to go to Moleville, I'm going to multiply by the relationship for the down arrow, which is just the reverse of the up arrow, 1 mole over molar mass. I can go to other units also on this table. So for example, let's say I'm starting in Moleville and I want to calculate atoms in that mole. I'm going to multiply my given by the relationship on the down arrow, which is Avogadro's number, 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd, quote, particles, which I can pick my particles, which in this case is going to be atoms, over 1 mole. And likewise, if I'm down here in Atomberg and I want to go to Moleville, I'm going to multiply by the up arrow, which is just the reverse relationship. Finally, the last place that I can go to is Moleville to Volume-town, and volumes are measured in liters, and it's only for a gas at STP, and STP stands for standard temperature and pressure, which is measured at sea level. So if I'm in Moleville and I want to travel down to Volume-town, I multiply by a relationship of 22.4 liters over 1 mole. And if I'm going the opposite direction from liters to moles, the relationship is reversed. I can also have two-step problems. Let's say that I am in Atomberg and I want to convert to grams. That means I'm going to first multiply by the first up arrow to get me to moles, and then I'm going to multiply by the next up arrow, which gets me to grams. I'm going to do one example in part 2 here, but there will be a part 3 that has more complicated examples that you can come and see. So let's look at that first example. In this example, we are going to calculate moles from 150.0 grams of calcium. Looking at my given value, I am in Grahamtown. That's at the top of my mole map. I am going to travel or convert to moles, which is going to be in the middle in Moleville. So just let's quickly look at the map before we set the problem up. So looking at this map, I am given 150 grams of calcium. So I am starting in Grahamtown. They want me to calculate moles. So I am going to take my given and I'm going to multiply it by this relationship, 1 mole over the molar mass. The molar mass is going to come from the periodic table. So I will have to look calcium up here when I set the problem up. So when you set the problems up, you are going to write your given, which is 150 grams, so include the unit and include the label, which is calcium. We are in Grahamtown, and we're going to multiply by the down relationship to get to moleville. And that relationship is 1 mole of that calcium over its mass off the table, which happens to be 40.1 grams of calcium. I know I've set this problem up correctly because if you look at the setup, I have grams of calcium in the numerator at the beginning, and I've written grams of calcium in the denominator. Those will divide out, and our final answer will be what my calculator says, 150 times 1 divided by 40.1, and my answer is going to be 3.741 moles of calcium. And that is how we set up conversions for moles. I'm going to have a part 3 with more complicated problems. I'll see you on that video.